What's up, guys? Before we get started, I just wanted to take a moment to solicit your help and your support. Sunday is my birthday, and I am really excited about turning another year. I'm excited about all of my friends and loved ones and listeners and everybody that supports us being there to wish me happy birthday. But this year, I want to ask you guys to help me out with something that means a lot to me. I have a friend that is suffering from lupus, and she's battling lupus, and lupus has started to attack her kidneys. She's actually experiencing renal failure now, and she needs some help and some support to get the care and the things that she needs, because of course with any type of major illness and it comes along, it becomes like a huge financial burden. So my good friend, really good friend, that really was there for me a lot in undergrad, Kimberly Burke, has a GoFundMe that's set up, and I just ask that if you guys, I thank you so much. I know that people are gonna wish me a happy birthday or ask to find what I want and what they could do to just make my day. And if what you can do and what I'm asking you to do is to go to Kimberly Burke's GoFundMe page and to make a donation. The donation of anything. That donation can be $10, it can be $100. I'm asking for at least $10 for everybody that does it. This is going to a really good cause to help a really special person, a special friend. The web address and the link, I'll put it out on our social media, but it is gofundme.com/a lupus lupus battle battle. That's a-lupus battle. So anything that you give, I really, really appreciate it. And I just thank you guys so much in advance for supporting my friend, for supporting me, for supporting Brunch Culture. And let's get into the show. Brunch Culture.
We want to talk about faith. We want to talk about politics. We want to talk about race. We want to talk about pop culture, literally
everything
is up for discussion, and that's what Brunch Culture is about.
It's about a thing. Feel real good. Raise your hands in the air and lick 2 shots in the air.
Brunch Culture. Brunch Culture. Brunch Culture. Brunch Culture. It's Lisa V.
And it's Randall Keith.
And this is Brunch Culture, the show that you come to hear everything that is up for discussion.
Yes, even Omarosa.
Even unfortunate Omarosa, who, by the way,
is an opportunist.
She's not an opportunist. Omarosa has been fighting for the black community for over 20 years. Isn't that what she said?
She's been fighting for the black community for 20 minutes.
She's been fighting for the black community for no minutes, actually. Yo, did you see that BS interview, yo? Like,
Omarosa. What she reminds me of somebody I know. But she said, I got a story to tell. And I was just like, for real? Like,
who wants to hear it, though? I think
she's such a...
Nobody...
She makes me want to curse.
Yeah, no, but what's interesting is she really sounds just like her boss. It's this whole, like, let me do a whole bunch of stuff that slights people and that is just real jacked up, and then come out as if, like, I'm the victim and I have a story to tell, and I've been in politics for 20 years. Hold
on. When was she in politics before this?
She worked for, I think it was a Clinton administration.
Okay.
And gotcha. I think she was a staffer for the Clinton administration, but that was then. This is now. Saying that you've been.
Well, April Ryan said she's been selling cell phones before this. I don't know if you heard that.
I remember that from right. It was from Angela Rye's podcast.
Yeah, and Angela Rye was hilarious on CNN.
Right.
And April Ryan tried to act like, this is my thing with April Ryan. I love April Ryan, but she tried to act like she was
being real diplomatic on
but she's the one who keep putting the tea out there about what's happening.
Exactly.
Keep talking about she broke the story. What is it gonna be? You don't celebrate nobody's demise. Why are you talking about her demise?
Putting it out there, yeah.
Angela wouldn't even know that she lied about resigning had you not put that out there.
Nobody would have known about them cell phones, though. because I'll never forget listening to
And
that.
then-
I was like, it was one morning I was like in the city, and I was listening to I almost wrecked my car from laughing because the way she kind of said it initially, she was like, well, no, she was selling cell phones. Like, said it just real casual, like, wait, she was doing what?
And I was like, how do you sell cell phones from home? Like, who's buying them? Who are you selling from? Are you selling those phones?
You cold calling? You cold calling people to
selling
sell
those
phones?
communication phones for the people, for the elderly and the people who are on Social Security. You know, they get free cell phones.
Well, I guess she is doing work for the community then. Maybe that's what she considers.
She must have been doing. But you don't really have to sell them because they're free. So I don't know. I'm confused. I don't know. But April Ryan, I was like, April, now you started this whole thing. If you had been quiet about your story, we wouldn't have known that she got thrown out of the White House and her thing was deactivated. But instead, she was in the Situation Room with John Kelly because nothing happens in the Situation Room.
Which was
HR stuff.
Folk, let me tell you. Look, for real. Nobody is taking you in the Situation Room for a resignation. Like, I don't care who you are. Like, that's just not happening. Step into the Situation Room. Like, come on over here. Like,
she can get that clearance because she's, as April Ryan points out again, because she apparently, quote unquote, not messy, but she is messy, that she isn't even, her office is across the street, in the other building, not in the actual White House.
Which is actually really, it's really messed up.
So how did you get clearance to the Situation Room?
But right, truthfully, so your office is located in the EEOB, which is cool. There's so many people that work for the White House that are located in EEOB. Like, that's cool. That's all right. That's good. But
she didn't even make it where you was at, Randall.
Folk, why are we walking to the Situation Room? Which when she said that, I was like, okay, man. Because she was like, I think before that during the interview, she said, oh, ask the people where are the cameras? Where's the footage? If all of this was happening, somebody would have recorded video, people would have taken pictures in today's time. And I was like, you know what? That's actually a valid point. So I was with her. I was following. I was like, okay. All right, cool. You making sense. Like, somebody would have recorded this. If you were acting, that much of a fool, somebody would have recorded it. But then when she was like, I was actually sitting down in the Situation Room with John, I was like, oh man, like, come on now. What y'all was
another
doing room. Your job is, your primary goal for being there is to reach out to the Black community. What you in the Situation Room for? Like, what?
She couldn't have said his office. That would have been more believable,
right? Like, I would have believed it. She was trying to like walk away from this whole, because she said before, like, she made it seem as if she had access to the Oval. Like, she literally could just walk into the Oval at any time, no matter what happened. Like, that's what she made it seem like. Okay, so then why didn't you go and meet with this person that you have this personal relationship with? Why didn't you go meet with him? Or why you just didn't like, hey, look, let's have a meeting somewhere else. Like, they're going to call a meeting in the Situation Room just so that you can resign. All right, folk, like, you lying. Like, I can't really believe you.
And somebody said, like, the Situation Room isn't always busy with military people planning.
With situations. With actual situations. Whole
not
situations.
Yours.
Get out of here,
yeah.
man. She's
opportunist.
No, for real. And opportunities, I say this all the time. People like, people are opportunists. Like, yo, it's good if you like take an opportunity to do something good. But really, you're the type of opportunist that's just like, you're out here trying. I feel like this whole thing, she's setting up the stage so she can sell a book. That's it. The whole, like, I have a story to tell and people want to hear it. All of this stuff is just her. She's going to play the victim. She's going to play somebody that, I seen things that I disagreed with, and I came in thinking that I can help my community. And even the thing that she said after Robin,
I can't think of her name. It's not Williams.
No. It's another R, right?
I think so.
I always mess up her. Because it's like a tongue twister for me. Anyway, but even after the whole like bye Felicia thing, like,
She was like, that's petty.
Yeah, she was like, that's petty. And she was like, it's a black woman's civil war. What? What are you talking about, yo? Like,
you know what's so crazy? This is the first time I heard Paris Denard and Angela Rye actually somewhat had the same thought on CNN last night. Yeah, Paris was like, she's never said anything about her having issues in the White House or anything to him or to any other people she knows.
Else. She made all this stuff up. Like she literally was there because this makes me seem like I'm somebody important. I work for the White House. I'm connected to the president. Like, what have you done specifically? Like, I actually really wanted Michael Strahan to ask her that question. Like, so what have you done? Because you made it seem like it was already your intent and plan to get through the first year. That's what you wanted to do. You wanted to be a part of the administration, to be there for the first year. So what were your goals? Did you accomplish those goals? Like, what did you specifically do? You ain't do nothing, folks. Like, you literally was here for a resume builder, for the ability to say that I was a special assistant to the president and I was in the White House. Congratulations. Like, yo, what are you talking about?
Yeah, and it's crazy. You remember when she said all these people have to bow down to President Trump?
And who's bowing now? She's
a piece of work.
A huge piece of work.
She's coming back to Jacksonville.
Wait, so she gonna be living in Jacksonville?
I think so, because her husband lives here. Yeah. The church is here. She's here all the time on the weekends. She was just at the Jaguar game on Sunday.
So unfortunate.
Right before she got fired. I'm sad she has to come in our town. Hopefully she don't get involved in our city politics, because that's the last thing we need.
I was gonna say we got enough crooks and wannabes. We don't need anybody else.
I don't think nobody gonna let her in, because she gonna ruin her rep with people, with Republicans. She already ruined it with Democrats, but she gonna ruin it with Republicans if she come out against Donald Trump and saying like he's racist. So people aren't going to want to hire her on either end, because Democrats don't trust her and Republicans don't trust.
I feel like she's towing this line, though. I feel like she's really towing the line when it comes to like Donald Trump, because after watching the interview, I didn't get the sense that she's upset with him, or at least she's not positioning herself to say that she has a problem with him specifically. I think she's trying to make it about everybody else in the administration that she has an issue with. And I think it's because she doesn't want to piss him off and lose whatever sense of connectivity that she thinks she has. Like,
he probably gonna come out with a tweet against her in a couple weeks.
I think they said like something, he said like bye to her or you're fired or something like that, or maybe he said goodbye. He was
like, goodbye, Omarosa, thank you for what you did. But what was interesting, he didn't at her on Twitter. He usually adds the people.
Right.
He didn't use her Twitter name, which is interesting. And I know she's on Twitter, so I guess he didn't. Either he doesn't follow her or he just didn't want to add her. Either way, she'll probably see him again, because he fired her several times and they still kicking it.
And that's why I feel like that's a relationship that she's never going to say anything directly against him or make it seem like he's a bad person. I think it's just kind of one of those like, yes sir, what I got to do, you let me know and I'll try to navigate this space.
Yeah, she kind of like a Nico, you know. Whatever you got to do.
Petty Betty.
I knew that was gonna take you out.
Dang. And you know I can't argue with you because I mean,
I feel bad. You know, no, I don't feel bad for Nico.
No, man, Nico's good. Nico is out here like, check this, right? I understand the game and I know how the game is played. Bruh.
So yeah, I unfollowed them because I got so annoyed at Kevin Hart's new interview on Breakfast Club. I couldn't even make it through the whole thing. I just thought it was mad disrespectful.
Yeah, everybody was annoyed by it. I guess the most frustrating, because I haven't watched the interview. Let me preface this by saying I haven't watched the interview, so this is based off of like the clips of sound bites, because I didn't watch it. So I really, the only issue that I've had with Kevin Hart and Aniko has always been how their response to and about Tory Hart. Honestly, if you guys are so in love and your love and your relationship didn't come out of any like ill situations when he was with Tory Hart, then just stop talking about it, yo. Let her go. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, let that lady, we good. We got children. We're co-parenting. We've moved on. We have a good, healthy relationship amongst each other. If she out here talking noise, allegedly, then let her talk noise. But I feel like the only thing that I've seen is Tory Hart kind of being like, bruh, like, ain't nobody, you know, you guys kind of taunt yourselves as like this perfect couple and this is your rib and all of this stuff, and as if, you know, you ain't had nobody before. Okay, cool. That's like, y'all do your thing. I ain't saying nothing. But I don't know. I feel like that when the whole like little social media thing came out with Nico and some fan, she had something to say like, oh, that was started by her. Their relationship was messed up, yada, yada, yada. He wasn't happy or whatever it was she said. And then, you know, Kevin Hart now is being like, oh, I got out of that situation. I'm the one that got a divorce. I didn't want to be there. It's like, well, bruh, you did some other jacked up stuff while you guys were together. So just own up to that. Like, and you've already done it before. I think that's the thing. You said it before that you did cheat on her, that you weren't right. Just leave it at that. Like, yo, I was wrong then. And this time I made a mistake, but I'm trying my hardest to make amends, to be a better man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to try to like put your new wife on this pedestal and demean your old wife, your ex-wife. Like, that's lame, bro. Let that junk go.
Yeah, and it was like, he was like, I got her on the pedestal and she didn't do anything wrong. I was just bored and it was just a wild situation. I went to Vegas and nobody was with me. My friends wasn't with me, and you know, this was just a sign from God. Like, you could lose everything. You know,
she ain't going nowhere,
just like the DUI. So, you know, when I leave here, I go straight home. I don't be out no more. I just go straight home because I don't want to lose nothing. Because, you know, that's my rib is on the pedestal. Charlamagne was like, well, how many sides you got with
No, he
her?
said, what kind of sides you like with
you
your
like
rib? That junk was hilarious. Because I feel like everybody be clowning him about talking about his rib. Like, because that's like his favorite, you know, and what's funny too is the last Breakfast Club interview, he kept talking about, you know, like, I don't do that. I'm not into that. I think Charlamagne asked him about if he'll cheat again. And he was like, nah, I'm not going to cheat because, you know, my wife is everything and she's this. Like, what's the point of me cheating? What am I going to cheat for? Like, why am I going out to get something from somebody else when my wife has everything? And I was like, okay, foot in your mouth, because then you did cheat. Like, I just feel like it's one of those things of, I was having this conversation with a friend and she was saying that she feels like they post themselves a lot on social media, like too much. And I was kind of like, I'm starting to shift my position on people that post their relationships, because it's like, you know what, that's your relationship, you should post it. I think my problem with them comes in, like I said before, like, y'all can be all of these things without like knocking somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Like, if Nico is really not like the side chick that quote unquote stuck, as she said, or if she really was not, y'all were completely separated and she had nothing to do with your former relationship, then just like, why you keep responding to it? Say it once and then let it go. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
maybe they're trying to convince themselves.
I think that's what it is. I just, if we keep saying it, if we say it like 30 times, everybody will start to believe it.
Because I feel like nobody's believing it. I think he could have got away with it if he hadn't cheated in such a public way. Well, it wasn't really public. It was, somebody made it public. But if he hadn't have done that, he might have some credibility in trying to say that. But it's like, you've lost all your credibility. So all you had to say was, I cheated, that was wrong, blah, and left it alone.
And
they asked about your ex-wife. Hey, I'm not going to talk about that. I'm not going to talk about it. I did wrong. That's it. I got to live up to my mistakes. We doing an investigation on the extortion. Hey, that's it. Let's talk about something else.
Right.
I'm trying to be more responsible. That's it.
That's it. Like, you really could. That's what I've been saying. You really could nip all of this talk about your ex-wife in the bud if you just be like, yo, like, I'm not, like, I messed up. Yes, I've messed up in the past, and I'm a man. I'm not perfect. I'm still constantly always working through things. Here's a situation where I found myself in a situation that resembled who I used to be. And I apologized for that. I became open and honest about it. I told the world so that people wouldn't try to like extort money from me. And then I talked to my wife and I apologized for it. And now I'm trying to move forward. But don't get into this whole, and people try to say, Nico was the other woman. She wasn't the other woman. I left my wife. I got the divorce. Bruh, do you realize you can cheat on somebody and still file for divorce? Like, that is not.
The crazy thing I hated was he made it seem like it was not as bad that he cheated on Tori because that wasn't what he really wanted.
Yeah.
But, with the Nico, it was horrible because that's his foundation. 9 years they've been building. That's his wife and with kids. And I'm like, those Heaven and Dew or whatever his name is, those are not Nico's kids. Those are Tori's kids. So,
yeah. I feel like he's just
trying to reconstruct his family and act like Nico had those kids.
Right. It's just, honestly, it's all put together. And he needs to do something about that dang on stupid behind mobile game that he created, because I downloaded the game. And I downloaded it because I was like, I want black people to be in tech. I want to support games. I really don't play a lot of mobile games except Words with Friends. I just started playing that. Complete side note. I just started playing it again. But, so I was like, I'll download this game and see how it is. So it kind of runs like Temple Run. Did I tell you about this before? It works like Temple Run, and it's just like just per pass.
Yeah, I think he's having a hard time selling out his shows.
Really?
The only reason I say that is because I've never known him to go this hard about, like, Orlando, I'm coming for New Year's. Like, he says that almost every day. And it seems like he would just have to say it once, with his status. I wonder, I'm not sure, but I'm wondering, is he going to have a problem? Are people that pressed to see him? Because he's done stand-up to me. His stand-up shows seem to be so often that people might not want to see him.
Yeah. Well,
like oversaturate. I feel like he's oversaturated himself in the market. But
I feel like his approach is, this is scandal, and using this scandal as material, I think he thinks that it's almost like a guarantee that people are going to come out and people are going to want to see the show and hear what he has to say about it, because they want to know what happened. They want to hear, of course, I mean, not saying that people don't like him. People like Kevin Hart, people think he's funny and hilarious and it's great. It's cool. But I think he really is banking on the fact of, well, you know what? This will be good material. If people know that I'm doing jokes about this scandal, then people are definitely going to come to the show because they want to hear the details. They want to hear what happened. They want to know what's going on. I don't know if it's going to work, but I just think that,
because I mean, that's how his promo was, where he was like, doing that, because it's called the Irresponsible Tour, so it fits.
Yeah,
because he was being irresponsible. I feel bad that his wife is gonna have to relive that over and over again, the whole tour.
Yeah,
and then a comedy special.
I was gonna say, Angela Yee actually asked about that though. Like, was it tough to get her, or did you ever consider like she's gonna have to relive this? And he was like, nah. That's when he started talking about the whole thing. From the clip that I saw, he started talking about the whole like, but I put her up here, and it's not about her being bad. It's about me and my mistakes. But what too?
She's included in the mistake.
Yeah, but I feel like to me it's kind of all telling of like what she cares about, which is making money. Because
Well, he said he has to pay for that. Like, he said it's just a random day, she'll bring it up. And he's just like, he can't say nothing. Or he was like, we'll be driving in the car and she'll just look at me. And I just act like she not looking at me. Because he's like, I know she mad. So I don't know.
if it worked for y'all, by all means, okay. I guess I
lost all respect for him in that last interview, and I used to love Kevin Hart.
Yeah,
like,
I used to go hard for him. I just stop talking about your ex-wife. That's my only thing. My only gripe is, just stop talking about it. Like, don't say nothing about it. Like, even if
man and me,
it's like, even if we don't know the details, because we don't. I'll say that all the time. We don't know the details of what happened. The school, we ain't gotta know. We not married we not in y'all relationship, so we don't know. That's cool. But just stop talking about it. If it's done and over, then it's done and over. If somebody mentioned your ex-wife, be like, nah, we good, man. I don't want to talk about that. Or, nah, we good. Like, if that's what she said, oh, okay. All right, cool, bet. She know what's up. I know what's up. My current wife know what's up. We moving forward. Stop engaging in these conversations and then being like, oh, well, I ain't want to be there. Like, come on, man. That's lame.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's also lame is Keaton Jones. So let's start off with, first off, Keaton Jones. If you guys don't know, this is the kid that was on video. I guess his mom recorded a video of him, and he is crying after being, I think, like, verbally and physically bullied. And he's kind of crying and basically asking why. Why would you bully somebody? Why would you treat a person a certain way? And so they put that video out. The video, I don't know how long it was out before it went viral, but I know I saw the first time I feel like I saw it one morning, and then the afternoon it was everywhere. And apparently his mom, which I didn't know this part, but his mom set up a GoFundMe, which was confusing. So you put out a video about bullying with the intent of trying to raise awareness about bullying and showing a victim of bullying and how, hurtful it can be to him, and him actually, through his pain, trying to encourage other kids that may be being bullied, which is amazing, a great thing. And then some kind of way you have a GoFundMe and you need money to support, I don't know, I guess him be like, are you going to buy him something and he gonna feel better about being bullied? I just didn't understand the GoFundMe part. It seemed real stupid.
I didn't understand why you would put an intimate moment that you're having with your son on the World Wide Web. If he's crying to you as a parent, why did you feel the need to video that, first of all? And then second of all, why are we putting it online?
Right.
Like, if he's going through bullying, and I don't know, if I was a parent, which I don't have children, but I can't imagine my parents recording me crying. That seems like such an intimate moment.
Right. Well, I mean, I think it's she made the claim in the parts of the interview that I seen her do. I think they did it on Good Morning America. She made the claim that the point of recording the video was to put it out online to raise awareness. So to kind of challenge people to talk to their children and say, hey, here is a child that is being bullied. We can see, we can hear what he's going through. Make sure that you're having conversations with your kids to make sure that your children aren't bullying people. That makes perfect sense. Cool. What doesn't make sense is why we got to GoFundMe. What also doesn't make sense is apparently she made her children pose with pictures with Confederate flags. She's had like anti-black comments and things to say about like black people. What was interesting though is when they asked her in the interview, they asked her about those photos, and she says, this is what boiled my blood. And I was like, yeah, I'm done. So her response was, those photos were meant to be funny and ironic. I am not racist. We are not racist. And so but she was like, I don't want those to take away the controversy around those photos, to take away from the message, which is bullying is a serious thing. So hold on, wait a minute, time out. I'm supposed to be like, and this is not directed towards the kid more so as it's directed towards the parent, but like, so I'm supposed to be really sympathetic and empathetic that your child is being bullied, and the people that are bullying him, they probably are saying that, hey, I ain't meaning to hurt his feelings, I'm just trying to be funny. Why? Because I think that this is funny. In the same way that you say, oh, giving kids Confederate flags and saying things about black people is supposed to be funny and ironic, but I'm not supposed to. It's okay for you to do that, and I say, hey, Confederate flags are offensive. They hurt. They make me feel uncomfortable. They make, when you showing those and touting those make it feel like I don't belong or you don't like me. And you say, oh no, that's supposed to be funny and ironic, but your kid is getting bullied, and I'm supposed to be like, oh, okay, well, they said it's funny and ironic, and I'm supposed to be like, oh no, don't do that. Like, come on, man, that's not. Yeah, no. No. That's not. I'm not rocking with that. Like, that's really stupid. So I don't know. That whole situation frustrated me. The question kind of was posed to me though was, do you think that people still should, I guess, feel sorry for or support the kid, knowing that his mom had him post like photos or pose in photos in like Confederate flags, and that his dad's a racist? What do you think?
Yeah. I don't think he should be blamed. I mean,
right.
I don't know if they do decide, because some people, in spite of that, still want to give to his college fund. Just make sure you're controlling the funds if you feel that pressed to give. And make sure you have it in the fund where it can't be touched by the parents, I would say.
Yeah, I that's pretty much my take on it. Like, I feel like, I mean, I'm not gonna come after a little kid. First off, he's a little kid and he's very impressionable. He's being trained. It's very unfortunate that he's growing up in an environment with people or a person that thinks that this is funny and ironic. So I don't, I'm not gonna place that blame again on the kid. I do think, it's messed up. Kids getting bullied is really a problem in the day of cyberbullying, and me just kind of being around kids and seeing how that manifests itself. I feel like, in our, godly, we're old, but in our day, the biggest thing that can happen was like, people might be talking around school. And so you kind of got to manage this. But now with like social media and the internet, something that happens in your school will be known in like schools across the country potentially. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like all of these people, or this presumption of all of these people that are anti you or picking on you. And so that can be a thing, and I understand that. But I also think that in the same very way that she's like, other people need to check their children and not bully her child and be mindful of bullying, she should also make sure that she checks her child and say, hey, look, I had you tout a Confederate flag in a photo. That is offensive. In the very same way that somebody picking on your appearance or picking on some sort of characteristic of you is hurtful to you, you having this symbol and walking around with this symbol and putting that symbol in people's faces or treating a certain person in a certain way, that hurts their feelings. So in the same way that I want them to be sensitive to you, I also want you to be sensitive to them. So I apologize for bringing you into this, and I apologize for whatever responses or consequences that you face out of that. Like, you don't just want to scold the whole world because your child is getting picked on. Like, scold yourself too, lady. You got some work that you could be doing. Yeah.
Definitely. So y'all let us know what y'all think about my mimosas and OJ. Tell us what y'all think about Kevin Hart. Y'all think we're going too hard on him, or y'all unfollowed him too? Let us know. Omarosa.
I never followed him.
Omarosa, y'all don't even have to tell us what y'all think. We already know. Y'all are just like Angela.
Because I definitely thought it was funny. From the moment I saw it, I thought it was hilarious.
Keaton Jones, let us know what you think. What would you do in this situation? We'll be back with our main dish.
All right, folks, we are back, and it is time to get into this week's main dish. The main dish this week is it might be a lot because I feel like I'm trying not to go in on people, but I really just want to talk about people. I don't really want to go in. I just want to talk about them. So we know that this past week was a historic Senate race for the state of Alabama. We had
Roy Moore.
Yeah. The Republican candidate and alleged pedophile Roy Moore and Doug Jones going for a Senate seat. And Alabama has traditionally been a red state, and so Doug Jones won. Huge.
Yes,
Huge
crazy.
deal. Yeah, really, really big thing. Thankfully we have black women, black people, specifically black women, to thank for that.
Yeah. Black Girl Magic.
Yeah, Black Girl Magic really saved the state of Alabama. It was something
Selma,
like,
how ironic.
Yeah, it's something like 97% of black women that voted 97% of black women in Alabama voted. Black women that voted in Alabama voted for Doug Jones, and 92% of black men voted for Jones. And I think the other number was something like, 65% of white women and 75% of white men voted for Roy Moore. And so we know for sure that black women, black people, specifically black women, to save the day, we, tip our hats. We say again, thank you, black girls. Thank you, Black Girl Magic. Thank you for saving, or putting forth the effort for there be some sort of attempt for hope for our country. But in light of that, I was talking to a number of people, and we kind of got on this subject of discussing people that don't believe in voting and don't believe in being politically or socially engaged in anything because they don't see the purpose, and B, which is what I really want to talk about, is this idea that, I don't have faith in man or faith in the system. I have faith in God, and my faith in God. And, I know that God takes care of me. I know that God is going to supply all my needs, and, all of this is just a bunch of hoopla anyway. And so I used to think of that type of thought process as something that was really backwoods, and really old. That is what you have old people say that have been around for forever, and it's just kind of been beaten down and given up. But what's interesting is it's not old people that are saying that. In my experience, there are older people that are really the ones that are saying, no, I gotta know what's going on. I gotta press this candidate. I gotta figure out what they stand on and why I support them. And I am going to get up and find a way to get to the polls to vote. And I feel like there are younger people, younger Southern people in this particular case that basically just kind of feel like, no, at the end of the day, Jesus got my back. God has my back. God is going to take care of what I need to take care of. So I'm going to put my faith in him and not in some system. And because my faith is not in a system or, not in people, then there's no need for me to be engaged. And that has been increasingly frustrating for me. A frustrating reality because I feel like it's asinine and honestly, it gets us nowhere. I feel like you are a part of the problem. You're not even allowing for there to be a solution because we had a race that was so close that it was something like, was it like 1,900 votes, or am I confusing that with Atlanta? But it was a very, very close race in that if you had more people that had the same type of thought process that others have, which is I'm putting my faith in God and not a system, then we might have had a different outcome, just kind of how like our presidential election outcome was. So I kind of want to talk about that and dive into that. So what do you think about, what's your experience with that? Do you know anybody that have had that and like what their justification has been for not wanting to be engaged?
Yeah, it's the feeling like most people do it because they say both parties are corrupt. So there's no need to side with either. So they're their choice is to opt out. And so, and then you have the extremes that say, well, I'm going to leave it in the hands of God and I'm not going to do anything. Well, if something was happening at your child's school and you wouldn't just pray about it, you probably go to the school and see what's going on and happening with your child. You would pray about it if you're a person of faith, but you will also go and be proactive in the matter at their school. So I think that people, they have a hard time if they're going to take the position they're going to pray and leave it in the hands of God, that they leave all things that way. Usually they're active in other areas. So I think one of the ways we can point out that blind spot is to say, okay, well, if something happens to someone that's important to you in life, and you have the ability to help and aid, even if you can't resolve it completely, you're going to intervene. You're going to pray, but you're going to intervene.
Right.
And so it doesn't have to be either or. It could be both and. And I think people sometimes have a problem with that both and.
Yeah.
They have to go from either or. The moderate space is a difficult space for many people.
Oh, for a lot of people. So I completely agree that we don't understand how we are like multifunctional. We can do both. Like, as you always say, I can walk and chew gum at the same time. I do it all the time. I can walk, chew gum, and text. I can walk, chew gum, text, listen to music. I can walk, chew gum, text, listen to music, and look at what's in front of me. I can walk, chew gum, text, look at what's in front of me, listen to music, and press the button so that I can get on the elevator. Like, there literally are a number of things that I can do. And I think that people get bogged down into this crazy idea that somehow if you're doing one thing that you're not doing the other, and it's a problem. One thing I do want to ask, and I just kind of, to me, people that have that position, I almost feel like there is a flaw in the training that they receive or their understanding about how God works, God and man work, right? I feel like it's this understanding or this adoption that we are really just like puppets on a stage, and God is doing some things, and so we might experience some bad based on this happening because this is all God doing it, right? So like, God is, if this person got into office, then that was God that got them into office. And then if they make a decision that harms me, then that was God doing that. And also simultaneously, I need to just really, really pray to God so that God can like consider me, but some kind of way he's not considered them. So for me, it's like, it's not just, I feel like there's a deeper problem. The deeper problem is like, with all of your faith and all of your beliefs, you really miss kind of what's happening, because what you're saying actually does not make any sense. Like, I don't think that, I feel like there's, if I was a puppet on the stage, on God's stage, and I don't believe that I am, but if I were, I think that he has so many ways to teach me things by just taking somebody that is, divisive and causing issues amongst a group of people and say like, hey, I'm going to thrust him in there so that you and all of these other millions of people can learn a lesson, and he just never learns a lesson. Like, I don't think that's God, like that. So I feel like, I say that to say that I feel like there's a larger issue that's at play, and like, kind of how do we like, what do you think about tackling that, and like how we should approach that? Because my approach is usually like, you stupid, you dumb. Honestly, like, I might be able to, maybe like the first time or two, I'll be able to have a conversation and try to like offer you some examples to see how like what you're saying is inconsistent, or, you might you practice out and act out and oppose other things, in your real life, and you just somehow seem to not be able to do this or that. But then after that, I'm just like, okay, so you dumb. And so when you have a problem about anything, literally you could have a problem about there being potholes on your street. And then I'll be like, oh, well, you actually want them because you believe that God is just going to fix it. Pray to God. Like, go call God and tell him to fix this. Oh, you stubbed your toe? Pray to God. Ask God to move this next time, or to show you. Like, because it's like, you stop with this whole, it's just kind of stupid. Like, I think that's just what it is. Like, it really is not productive. So I think it speaks to a bigger problem, and I don't know how do we tackle that problem.
But I think you hinted to a good point that it does speak to a larger problem of how you see God and how you see how he works in the world. So I think instead of, a lot of times we have to pull back once we realize there's an overarching issue from this issue and say, okay, let's stop looking at this tree and let's look at the forest.
Right.
How do you see this whole forest? What are your thoughts about how God deals with humanity in this world, and maybe get them to start thinking about that, and then once they start thinking through that, then maybe get back to how they think about politics and the system and how they're to engage the system. But like you said, there's a larger problem that has to be addressed before you can even get them to change their mind on the system,
right?
Because they think that God is just doing what he does and they have no part in it at all.
Right.
And it can be God is doing what he does, but you're a part of what he does and you have to be actively engaged, and he gives you free will in that part, and he responds to your free will.
Say that word again. Free will.
Free will.
Let's all say it together. Free will. I can't.
And they'll be like, well, there are certain things in this earth you can't control. Correct. But I can have free will and
still not be able to control it. Here we go.
With boundaries. I can place, I always think of it like this. If I put a child in a playground, but there's a fence around the playground, I give that child free will within the confines of that playground. You can play with whatever you want in the confines. You can't go outside of this, but you have free will inside of this.
Inside of this.
Don't understand that you can have free will with confines.
It's like, it's such an interesting thing, because I feel like it's like not that tough of a an idea to grasp. Like, it doesn't. It's really not that. It's not that hard, but I feel like people really struggle with it. But to me, then that comes across in that sense. That's when I'm like, yo, it's really lazy. In terms of critical thinking, your ability to critically think about something becomes extremely lazy in that. And these are for people that are believers, right? Like, if you are not a believer, then of course we have different, we'll have a completely different conversation of trying to understand. But somebody that is a believer that is always chucking everything that is, positive and negative. And typically how it works out is everything that is positive is God. Everything that is negative is the devil, which to me is just lazy. It's super lazy, because it's kind of like, you know what? My car broke down. The devil is busy. And then you'll be like, oh, when's the last time you got an oil change? Oh, I haven't gotten it since I got the car. I had the car for 3 years. That is not the devil. That's you. You are the devil. Oh,
that's laziness.
Right. My tire went flat. Oh, when's the last time you got new tires? Oh, like 5 years ago. You are the devil. It is not the devil. He doesn't, stop giving him that much credit. He doesn't care. He's not thinking about you. Like, he's off doing something else. He's probably on vacation somewhere. Like, he is not thinking about you. Everything wrong in your life is not just because, there's some other external force that is just out to get you. Sometimes you may be out to get yourself. Sometimes you might not be doing the things that you need to do. So in saying all of that, though, I kind of, and you can tell me how you feel about it. I feel like what we should be doing, and I say we as people that are believers and people that are connected to other people, is challenging those types of thoughts in the church, outside of the church, as we have conversations with people. When we hear people say kind of those stupid things, to kind of, I personally do this with like people that I'm close to. When I hear those kind of statements, I'm always like, oh, word? Like, So what about this? Or how did you get there? So did you make the choice? Or again, your tires are flat. When was the last time you got new tires? 5 years ago. Okay. So that's not God trying to teach you a lesson, right? That's not God trying to show you that, you need to buy Goodyear tires instead of the off-brand. Like, no, that is literally, you just didn't do what you were supposed to do, and so that happened, and you kind of just have to like bear the consequences. So like, do you think that these are conversations, because realistically, it'll take a long time for us to actually get people to that point of seeing it, because a lot of people don't realize how connected everything is. Everybody thinks about stuff as kind of like this vacuum. So it'll be tough, I believe, for somebody to see how me kind of being lazy in my approach of understanding of, my faith kind of plays into like why we have a horrible, or how I'm a part of the problem in not being politically engaged. So is that something that I should be getting, or those people should be getting from church, or should they be getting it from, us in podcast space? Should the media be challenging them? Like, where do people get this from?
I think they should get it from all spaces. Honestly, I think the church has a responsibility to preach about social justice, because social justice is in the Bible.
Go figure. God forbid it was actually in the Bible.
Look out for the widows and orphans. That's true religion, according to
God. My God, today.
So I think if we crack open the Bible and read just the whole thing, not just our favorite parts, then we might see it there, and that might provoke us to be engaged. Because if we're committed to taking care of the widows and the orphans, that's also affected by politics. So you have to be engaged in order to even, from my perspective, live that out fully. Talking about the least of these and those on the margins, Jesus talks a lot about that. Old Testament prophets talks a lot about how they treated the poor and had unbalanced scales, and how God was against that. So I feel like you would get it if you read the book completely, just naturally. But I think that people don't think about it that way. Most people read and that make them happy and encourage them. And so I think a church that really goes through the whole book, they will preach social justice and engagement, and that will lead to political engagement, I believe. Now, I think you are going to get it from the podcast space, of course, and you're going to get it from the TV and CNN and Fox News, God forbid.
Gee workers.
Yeah, ABC News, all those news outlets, you're going to get that. But I think, if you're a strong faith person, I think it's a misunderstanding of faith to not be engaged, because faith without works,
dead.
Yeah, pretty much. So I don't see how you could have that position and not be really engaging and taking seriously all of God's word. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that I what you said really too convicts me a lot, because I feel like I don't want to say it convicts me, but it hits me a lot in terms of race relations with people. I watched a video of somebody that was saying that, calling people out that are racist, or having, racial conversations, or conversations about police brutality, or just kind of like the mistreatment of somebody based on their race, is missing the mark. And that, we are here to bring people to Christ, and that all of us are brothers and sisters in Christ, and we should be focused on that, and we should stop thinking about ways to call somebody out and to create like additional confusion and negativity. And while I say this only to say that, now I know that this is complete bull, so I'm not even asking, do you think that that's bull? I'm not even saying like, oh, this is something that needs to be considered. That's a very ignorant, uneducated, and not from the standpoint of textbook education. That's just from the standpoint of understanding history, figuring out how we got here, literally physically how we got here, to this continent, thinking about how things have happened, and not even analyzing, just being aware of what happened and realizing that, I believe that God was present for all of those things and around for all of those things. And at the same time, all of these things happen. So it is extremely ignorant, dumb, stupid, lazy to tell me that having a conversation that challenges a person and an idea is pointless because I'm not bringing them to God in that moment. Like, that's actually really, really stupid. So I get that and I understand that, but I feel like for a number of people, that is like their reality. And I don't know like how to engage those people. I usually don't engage those people. For me, for the sake of not being frustrated, not cursing them completely out, and probably making them think that I'm really a hellion. I just kind of like disengage altogether, and I'm just like, nah, I'm good. Like, I'm not going to have that conversation with you because to me, it just doesn't make sense. And you are so lazy in your ability to think about something other than just like, oh, well, all you got to do is this. That to me it would be a wasted conversation. So like, what do we do? Like, how do I deal with those folks? Especially when they're black. Here's the other thing. I'm sorry. I almost expect it to come from somebody that is not the person, even if it's not just like a black and white thing. Like, let's say if it's just a person of another ethnic background. Like, when it's coming from people, for me, I will almost engage a white person that says that more. And I'm more likely to engage a white person that says that than a black person that says that, because I'm so like frustrated, but also disappointed, and also realizing that you probably have said the same dumb ish to somebody else outside of the community. And that's probably why they too believe like that is not a thing, because you're like, oh no, it's just about Jesus. And every time I see you, I should be bringing you to God, and like not realizing that I could do both. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can have a dual conversation. And so like, what am I supposed to do with those people?
Yeah. And it's interesting you said that, because sometimes the way you treat people on the margins actually is an aid to you sharing Christ to them. But you have to do the work to be there and to feed and clothe, to lead them to that space. I think that you have to know where people are, because I think a lot of my growth and development as a believer or a Christian happened over time. And I said a lot of ignorant stuff early on. There's some stuff I see when I go to my Facebook memories, and I just delete that, because I'd be like, man, I don't want nobody to ever see that junk, because that was so ignorant. And so I think, acknowledge that people are on different levels of growth, and people are really trying their best to hold on to what they think is true. So I think that one of the things that I have adopted when I have to have difficult conversations with people, so I won't, and this came because I used to have conversations with a friend, not about this, but just about other things. And I felt like it was just always made me so angry that I got to the point where I'm like, you know what? I just can't even talk to you anymore, because it just makes me so angry that I feel like I lose control. So I was like, hey, can I just, even before I engaged them, I started actually, one time I asked, could we pray before we start the conversation? Because I felt like I just wanted to cuss them out, like from the gate. I was like, before we even start what I'm about to say, can we just pray? Can we just invite God in? Because
before I slap the piss out of you, let me call.
And it didn't go as bad as it could have, because I started on a good note. But usually if I can't do that, I just try to pray before, or in my head while I'm engaging, like, God, give me wisdom. Because this person obviously sees things, like, we're all blind to certain things about ourselves, and we all need other people to point it out in us. And depending on the person and where they are in their level of growth, they may not be open, and you just might be like, you have to know when, you know what? I can't talk to you no more about this, because I'm going to frustrate myself, and I'm going to be the knock you out. And they're going to be like, how y'all got in a fight over Jesus?
Yeah.
I just straight.
I told you, you slapped him in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost.
And
All
so
of
I
them.
just, I feel like, hey, I got to the point where I got to disengage. But some people, you will get further, and they can see, okay, I can point out the fallacies in your argument and show you, like, hey, you're disengaged in this area, but you wouldn't be just like the example of a parent and child in the trouble at school. You wouldn't just pray about it. You would go see what's going on with your child. A good parent would at the school. So why are you just disengaged in this area? Why are you not active in this area if you're leaving it up to God? Because there are other areas in your life, and you can point out examples that they don't, and then get to see the inconsistencies with that. But some people, you win some, you lose some. Some people you got to say, may the Lord watch between me and you, while we're absent from one another. I wish you the best. We can't talk. We can talk. Just we can't talk about this. Because I'm gonna end up punching you. But sometimes you just have to, and I pray that you see the light. But I'm not gonna wish light upon you. But sometimes you have to really, before you knock somebody out, before you curse somebody out, you really just have to let me get less 2 minutes to go talk to God before I curse you out. Yeah, I promise you it's going to benefit both of us.
I found it to be really, just kind of be discouraging in that I see young people feel this way, right? Like I said, I've always thought that this was an older mentality and mindset. And I found that there's so many people that are older that kind of engage in that way. And so you have people.
Do you think they really just don't want to be a part of it at the core, and they're just using it as a mask? Because some people throw up a whole bunch of spiritual reasons. It really don't got nothing to do with God. It's they don't do it.
And that definitely could be the case. I think if I start to consider like how they are in other areas of their life, and it might be like, oh, you're probably just saying that. But I think it's just, to me, even it's still lazy, because I guess I feel like I wish that there was such a standard of political engagement and social engagement from a faith-based perspective that like that is the norm, right? So it's the norm for, like, you can't even use that argument because it is the norm for you or for us to expect that people that are connected to a faith-based and a faith-based community, that's what we do. Like, you know what I'm saying? We fight for justice. We unify, we lift our voices, we press people, we engage our local officials, and we press upon them that, their power is in numbers. We have these large numbers. And so if you are not here, you aren't out here keeping your promises or advocating or working for us in our community, then we are going to, make sure that this is the last stint that you have in office, and that the next person that comes along that is willing to do that and that will talk to us and work with us will do it. I think that, to me, it gets frustrating because it's something that's really hard to argue, right? It's kind of hard to argue with a person, to go toe to toe with somebody that doesn't want to do that, that just kind of wants to be like, oh, well, we're all God's children. It's like, well, I never said that we weren't. Like, and this idea that some kind of way, because I'm telling this person that they are wrong for mistreating or supporting somebody that mistreats a person of another community, that some kind of way I'm also anti-God. Because I'm saying like, oh, well, I actually want to be open to, this person being able to live their life, and there being people that actually want to support them and their choices, whether those choices are right, wrong, and indifferent. You have the ability to choose. They should have the ability to choose. I don't really know I don't get how we get to a place of that just being anti-God. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, that becomes like the frustrating part. And it's frustrating because I'm talking to peers and I'm talking to people that are, in our age group that's like, but I thought we got it. Like, I thought we got it.
it's crazy because it's such a denial of history. Like, just look at the civil rights movement.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The SCLC,
Yeah.
MLK. Like,
You miss. That's why I say it's lazy. It's extremely lazy. Like, there's a whole, you don't, like, you just missed everything. You literally learned a scripture or two or three, and in the one particular example, they use like 3 scriptures, and I swear the 2 of the scriptures that they use had nothing to do with the point that they were making. But I was like, I mean, but I guess you learned it. Like, you're gonna get a sticker from like Sunday school because you learned that scripture though. You know the scripture, you got it. But
yeah, don't know the verses before or after.
Right,
that
application is just a whole other thing. Like, you know, you can't apply it for nothing, but you got it. I don't know. Well, y'all hit us up and let us know what y'all think about people that have a problem with engaging in the political system and the social system because they rely on God. This idea of God being against the system, God versus the system. Like, y'all hit us up and let us know what y'all think. Let us know really how you guys engage and interact with those people today. That's what I really want to know. I'm asking because I truthfully want to know how that happens, because I find, you know, myself, especially when it's us, I find myself completely shutting down and disengaging and being like, all right, I'm good. I don't even want to have this conversation with you because you're dumb again. So hit us up. Use the hashtag ChatBC. Hit us up on Twitter at Brunch Culture and on Instagram at Brunch_Culture. And we'll be back for our Toast to Roast.
And we're back with our toast or roast. Today, I'm going to toast Keisha Lance Bottoms, the new mayor of Atlanta. I am so excited. I don't live in Atlanta, but I was hyped for them. I feel like this is a season where we're hyped for elections that don't even affect us.
Right.
We never cared about who won Alabama Senate. I felt like we was just voting for the president all over again.
Oh, everybody. We out here trying to take wins where we can. We feel like that was the biggest loss. So whenever we can get a win, like, we all like, no, you better vote. I literally woke up that morning and text my friends that I know from Alabama, like, yo, tell your family, make sure you tell your grandma, make sure your granddaddy got a ride to go vote. And I'm not even from Alabama.
Yeah. And I felt like it was the same with Keisha Lance Bottoms, because all the celebrities were there supporting. They were on social media.
Your boy Tyrese was there.
Yeah. And he was standing behind her. I felt some type of way about that. I was like, now, is he your friend? Because if he your friend, I don't know if I can give you all my support. Like, that really bothered me. Like, I saw him posting about her, and I was like, that's fine, you know. But when I saw him standing behind her at that celebration, I was like, I hope he not having no say in the decision-making process in Atlanta. Because there's some instability happening. So, yeah, he was posted. I guess he was like, him and Keisha cool. I don't know. That's one friend you need to let go, Keisha. I don't know you. I know you don't know me, but I feel like Tyrese is not really helpful to the city of Atlanta because his thought process isn't quite there. But, you know, I saw her in her interview. They had a song for her, and they were like, Atlanta got a black mayor named Keisha. Her husband is actually an executive for Home Depot. He's an attorney as well. Both of them are attorneys, so they are black couple magic. I don't even know if that's a thing, but it's a thing right now. That's the thing. I don't want to say relationship goals because I don't know them. I only do relationship goals for people I know. But shout out to you, Keisha Lance Bottoms. Congratulations, Black Girl Magic. You are doing a dang thing, and I hope to see you one day. When I'm in Atlanta a lot next year on my itinerary, so maybe I'll see her on one of my trips to ATL.
Bet. So I am going to do a toast. It's a toast. It's a toast to something that is really dope and great and amazing, but it also is kind of sad. I'm sure you guys have heard this past week. It came out that News One Now is officially canceling. I'm sorry. TV One is officially canceling News One Now, which is the daily news show that is hosted by Roland Martin. It's been coming on for about 4 years, and it is our source for Black news, for news, things that are going on, and it's Black thought and Black perspective. And so there's so many people that we see. Angela Rye started on News One Now, started, that was where she came on, and we start seeing her on the television screen doing her political commentating, and now, she kind of blew up. And that's happened for so many other people too that come to News One Now and share their thoughts and start the whole political commentating thing, and then they go off to do things for other networks and start their brands. And I'm really sad to see News One Now go, but I definitely want to toast to Roland Martin and toast to News One and what he's been able to do there. Honestly, there are certain things about Roland Martin that I would be like, oh, this is frustrating. I hate when he does this. I hate when he doesn't let people talk. I hate when he overtalks people. But one thing that I definitely appreciate is his ability, as a journalist, to really come with a lot of historical facts and make sure that we are equipped with knowledge, additional knowledge about a story. And, it's not just talking about it from a headline perspective, but bringing people on that are experts in a certain area, and having them talk about their experience and what the work that they're doing and how that affects certain situations and all the situations that happen now, and just really just kind of being that go-to stop and place for Black people. And I love it. And I've been watching, for 4 years. I remember working at my old job and changing my schedule so that I can make sure that I caught it in the morning time, and then buying DVR simply so that I could record News One Now and come home in the afternoon and watch it and stay up to date with it. And then when the podcast came, I listened to the podcast. So I just want to toast to Roland Martin, toast to News One Now. I think that we don't really understand now, since we have it. Once that space is gone, we don't really, I feel like that's when we'll really feel the weight of what it means to not have that show anymore. I use the example that a lot of people get when Wendy Williams made her ignorant comments about HBCUs. It wasn't until Roland Martin kind of roasted her on his show that went viral that she actually, and then there started to be like a public backlash against her, and then she lost the sponsorship, and that's when she apologized. So just imagine if we didn't have, News One Now, her saying that nobody else was affected by it. Nobody else said anything in a public visual platform, a daily platform that had a large following like that. So had Roland Martin not have had that platform, you might have people out here saying stupid stuff and nobody's calling them out. So I just say toast to them. I really hope that News One Now comes back. I hope that they find funding or a way to kind of do it at a different level, and so that it's still there. I know that I've heard people talk about it coming back in a radio format and a podcast format, which is great. And of course we do podcasts, so I love what we do and I love this medium, but I think it also is different to have a visual component, because a lot of people prefer being able to sit and watch something and to see the whole thing, to see and hear, as opposed to just hearing. But if we can only get a podcast or audio version, I definitely hope that we still do. I want to say to all podcasters out there too, this really amps up our roles as people that are bringing topics to the Black space, that are talking about things that we care about. I think that this pushes us to be, find out ways to get those little known stories and little known things that are talked about, and make sure that we're putting it out and we're dissecting those things so that people can know, that we can know. I feel like in more than ever, we have things that with net neutrality, and we have an administration and a president that seems to not be so fond of anything that is against him and being held accountable. So we have to make sure that we're talking about these things, diving into these things, and holding people accountable. So I know that was really long, but toast to Roland Martin, toast to News One Now, and we got work to do, y'all.
Yes, we do. We do. Y'all, we're going to leave y'all with today's good vibe. Today's good vibe is, yes, love yourself, but also analyze and be critical of how you think, act, and behave. Self-love without self-awareness is useless. Be accountable. Yes. because I think it's important that we love ourselves. But hey, if you're self jacked up, correct yourself too.
Hey, that's it.
Love has correction embodied in it. So be self-correct, be accountable, ask people what your blind spots are and correct them. Yeah. So thank you for listening to another episode of Brunch Culture. As always, you can catch all our past episodes at www.brunchculturebc.com. All our past episodes are there. You can subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, iHeartRadio. We are literally everywhere. So subscribe, rate. That helps us out tremendously. Follow us on Twitter at Brunch Culture, on Instagram at brunch_culture, on Facebook at facebook.com/brunch culture. We're so excited to still be with you and still be rocking with you, and y'all still tell us that y'all enjoy the show and listen. We really, 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 really appreciate it. Remember, #ChatBC on all platforms, and we would love to engage with you. And remember, here at Brunch Culture, everything is up for discussion.